Right. So I think we can get started here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this session, Women in Security. As you all may know, March 8th is the International Women's Day. And we thought this is an appropriate moment to have an event like this. We are all from the Purple Book community. You may be wondering, what is this Purple Book community? Purple Book community is a community of software security leaders. So for the younger people in the audience here, we are talking about any digital devices that you have. They have software in them, and then these are the leaders who are part of securing, making sure that you have secure experiences and safe experiences on those. And given the women in security, we thought this is an appropriate month to talk about this, because the technology space, I think, can use a lot more talent from the women that we have in the world. Even the kids hopefully will be inspired by what the stories that you hear from the leaders here. So I'll share my own personal experience on why a session like this is important and how it changed my own life. It was many decades ago, between 7th grade and 8th grade. I was visiting one of my uncles back in India, and he took me to a room, me and a few of my friends, and he showed me showed me the computer. I had never seen computer before. I'd heard about them. I still remember that experience, even though it was decades ago. The first time I saw it, I knew I want to be in a profession that does something about it, because the kind of things that you were showing on the computer seemed magical. Of course, there's no magic, there's science behind that, but it seemed magical to me at the time. And so I still remember that uncle very thankfully for introducing me to that experience. So that's what we hope that this experience will be for the young ones that are joining here. I know my daughter, who's 12 years old, she's joining. Few of our friends are joining, and I think other people are joining. So hopefully it will be an experience like that for all of you. And for those of you who are already in cybersecurity, hopefully this gives another set of perspectives on how these leaders are making a difference in security. We can all benefit from the differing perspectives that are brought to the table. I certainly have benefited from engaging with all the leaders here in the Purple Book community. So without further ado, I will introduce you to Vandana Verma, who is the moderator of this particular session. She will in turn introduce the rest of the panel here. Vandana Verma, so I have known her for a little over a year now. And from the day I have met her, I have been amazed at the amount of energy that she brings to everything she does. And she shared her story of how she came up from a middle-class family in Delhi and went on to do engineering, and her own journey as a woman in technology. And just today, I was reading an interview that she gave at an organization. It shares about how she went from leading a chapter of WASP in Bangalore, India, to becoming the vice chair that she was last year, and now she is the chair of this global organization, right? So if you bring the right amount of the talent and the passion to the job, you can just touch so many lives. I see, if you follow her on LinkedIn, you can see the amount of followers she has, and the leaders that she engages with, and the value that she adds to the conversation. So I am hoping you'll all get to benefit from the energy she brings. And she also has an organization. She has also started an organization called InfoSec Kids and InfoSec Girls. That just shows the belief that she has that information security is not just for the adults, it's even for the kids, because it's very important. All of our kids, if you know, I mean, like, it seems like kids are born with a smartphone in their hand now. They're inseparable, right? But security is such an important part of it. We all need to educate them about the security behind using these tools. So it just shows her belief in starting them young. So I think we have the right audience from very young to the professional audience that can benefit from her perspectives here. Vandana, take it from here, please.
Thank you so much, Lingraj, for the kind introduction. To everyone, I want to start this panel with a simple intro. So women in technology are incredible. They are inventive, resourceful, astute. women have always played an important role in the technological world. Being a woman or someone that identifies as a woman in the tech industry, on the other hand, is still difficult because they often had to overcome obstacles. And I know some of the incredible women who have overcome those challenges and have shined through. We have them on the panel as well. So I'll start off with going through the people that we have on the panel. So, Cassie, can you please share your journey and who you are?
Yes, thank you. My name is Cassie Crossley, and I have been in technology for 35 years. I started as a software developer, one of only one of only two women really usually in the environment. And I progressed later into communication, documentation, and then later project management, moving into more leadership and executive roles. So I was leading development teams for quite a long time. And I moved, I was at some security firms, and then I moved into the company that I'm at right now is Schneider Electric. I've been here 12 years, and I've had different roles, but I was in the what's essentially the IT security side, and I've been in the application and product security side for a number of years, just because of my background and my love for it.
Thank you, Cassie. Now I would like to invite Leticia.
All right, thank you, Vandana. Thank you, Purple Book community, for having us on, and it's really a pleasure. So my name is Leticia Kinuthia. My pronouns are she, her. I work for Axiom, and I lead the data security team at Axiom. My story is kind of a bit, like probably everybody else here, it's just off the beaten path. I officially went to college to study fashion design. And as soon as I graduated, living in an emerging economy, I realized the career was not sustainable. So I had to think quick and I had to pivot. In high school, just, as we all know, STEM was not something that was encouraged for girls. It still is not strongly encouraged, which is why we are here and why we want to change that culture. So I didn't have the foundation that I needed or thought I needed to be able to get into the STEM field. So I charted my own way. I started with just, Microsoft, buying a book, self-study. This enabled me to break into the IT world. And as soon as I broke into the IT world, again, I just strived and, with recruiters and got my first entry position in IT. And from there, stumbled into security, and the rest was history. I've done security now for going on, just over 15 years. I started off as a network engineer, into consultancy and into architecture. And now I lead data security and services along, one of them being application security. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Leticia. Over to you, Maria.
Hello, and thank you for having me on this panel today. Special thanks to the Purple Book community, guys, and all the ladies on the panel with me today. My name is Maria Schwenger, and in the past several years, I'm known as a cybersecurity and data governance leader. I've been building DevSecOps and data protection programs from scratch in various industries. I'm also well known for my work in AI as part of IBM Watson and for cloud transformation. I'm a cloud transformation practitioner. I lead the cloud native build practice for IBM Consulting currently and have a big passion for that. In terms of cybersecurity, my passion is to prove that cyber is not just a showstopper or a distractor like many people think, but it's the very important and essential enabler to the business, and we cannot go without it. So happy to join the discussion today.
Thanks, Maria. We are glad to have you. Over to you, Viraj.
First of all, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Purple Book community, for having me here. I'm so thrilled to be honored to be in the panel with amazing women leaders here. I'm Viraj Gandhi. I'm currently Senior Staff Product Security Engineer at SailPoint. And I've been in this tech industry for almost 15 years, a decade in software development, and then plunge into this cybersecurity space. Being a product security engineer, I provide security advice and assessment, improving the security posture of the organization. And yeah, thanks for having me today.
Thank you, Viraj. I'm so thrilled to be part of the panel, and especially getting to know you from the past discussions and today. It is amazing to connect with you and learn from all of you. Now, while we dive into it, I would like to tell everyone who is listening, please do feel free to post your questions. I would like to see more and more questions from all of you. I am sure, like I ask a lot of questions because I want to know all of you. So today I have some questions for you, but I want to see questions coming from the audience. So the first question that I have is, which is from my personal experience. Like while I was growing up in cybersecurity per se, I used to be the only person in the room. Like Cassie mentioned that Cassie used to be one of the few people, or one of the few different people in the room, especially in cybersecurity projects. So what advice would you give it to the diverse people who are struggling to fit into the environment? Because cybersecurity is unique, different, and there's so much more that we can talk about cybersecurity. So we'll start off with Maria, and then this question is for Viraj as well.
Okay, well, if it's an advice, let me try to start with things that we should be doing and maybe things that we shouldn't be doing, right? I feel that the work needs to go into two parallel directions. Work on yourself, and then work work with the others. When we talk about work on yourself, that's mainly related to building our confidence and building our own brand. So what to do? Learn how to cultivate your confidence to stay positive, listen actively, express your thoughts publicly during meetings, even a regular conversation, not just special events. Learn to gracefully handle conflicts without being upset or taking things personally. Care more about people, what people will respect with you, rather than how much popular or likable you are. So these are some of the things, and especially, I guess, don't be afraid to take on responsibilities. As women, we tend to have a lot of tendency to be perfectionist, and stop being perfectionist. We don't need this. Don't try to be somewhere you're not. Be authentic. Don't lose your cool. Never take things personally. And so when we work with others, where we usually have a problem is not only how to present ourselves, but my advice is always about this sincerity and authenticity, the honest, the direct approach, and advocating for ourselves. Don't be afraid to, don't be shy. Don't be afraid to assert yourself in a conversation. Be authentic, be determined to succeed, embrace the competition. So these are some of the things that have helped me specifically.
Thank you so much, Maria. Over to you, Viraj.
Yeah, I totally agree with the Maria. Its key thing is to speak up for yourself, believe in yourself. For my personally, like speaking up has been a very critical instrumental in molding my career. You have to be comfortable. Like, initially when I started the career, I was surprised seeing just me sitting among 8 to 10 men in the conference room, or even whenever I used to attend the training or the conferences, I used to barely see other women in that. But then it just became a norm. After spending the decade in this industry, it is like a norm to that. But speak up is a very key thing. Believe in yourself and don't just settle in the comfort zone, right? Try to get out of the comfort zone. And sometimes you may take help of the other man, the mentor who can help you in giving you the confidence that no, you are getting too much into your comfort zone. You need to get out of your comfort zone, right? So especially for many freshers, girls, starting your career journey, you might be facing, like, if you enter the room, you might be surrounded with a full of a man. So don't just turn back and, like, run out of the door. You might be getting that sense, that feeling into you, but, like, be confident and be strongly just walk into the conference room and try to sit in the front of those conference sit, I must say. And also, not just that, like, sometimes you have to have the thick skin. So, like, whenever there is any scrutiny, critical feedback you get, just don't hold to that. Be resilient and just don't trip off from those, like, smaller issue. Just keep moving. And that's how, like, just keep on moving. Try to, like, achieve the success, the goals what you have set for your career. um, that's how, like, you will be able to conquer in this male dominated world, I would say.
I totally agree. And there's one thing that I've learned, even though you're a lone runner, but there's one important aspect that you need to remember, that you need to talk about the things that you're doing. Because in the beginning, I used to feel, oh, am I posting too much? Am I sharing too much? Whether it's right or not, or am I preaching for myself? But as Maria said, that you need to speak for yourself. And as Viraj said, that you can be unique in the room, but you have a perspective which is important for everyone. So now I would like to ask Cassie and Letitia that I have observed that or even many researchers show that the diverse organizations who hire people from different backgrounds, different cultures, they perform really better. And there's something unique that is happening. So, Cassie, what do you think that is happening right now with those organizations?
Yes, I think this is an excellent discussion, both gender diversity, but also culturally diverse groups can really enhance both. Its studies have shown it helps with profits, it helps with the ability for people to collaborate and work together if everybody is not alike. So it really brings that different perspective. And I work for a global company that's actually a French-owned company, and we have a very global workforce. And with all of that, it gives the not only from a cultural, but especially gender, even whether you're male, female, whatever you identify with, having those different perspectives. So I don't want to speak where I'm putting people into a box, but there are, it really expands how inquisitive, asking questions. I think that can be different. Some cultures may be asking more questions. Some genders sometimes ask more questions. So if you really have that ability to build a team with that diversity and a company with that diversity, it expands things so much for everybody. And I've benefited with it. I have a team that's located in 7 countries, and it's half women, it might be a little over half women and men. And the perspectives are all different, and it brings such lively conversation and information. And really, from a decision-making standpoint, it really lets us look instead of just at ourselves, but also represent who our customers are.
I agree, Cassie. It's gone back to the business, right? It's all about customers, and it's all about why the business is there today, right? It's profitability. So diversity has become a competitive advantage today. Companies that are not supporting D&I efforts, are going to lose out, because we have cases where now even job seekers are evaluating companies before they agree to a position, right? I want to know that the company that I'm going to join supports my views and supports a diverse workforce. The other thing that it came out last year McKinsey did a Women in the Workplace report in 2021, and together with leanin.org, right? And it shows that a diverse workforce with women in, they've survived and have managed to stand up throughout the pandemic because women leaders have been shown to step up and support the employee base. And, this is just a study and it's unbiased and it's facts, right? So for sure. So over to you, Vandana.
Thank you, Leticia.
Mm-hmm.
And Cassie, it is one of the topic which actually is very close to all of us, because while we talk about these diverse perspective, diverse organization hiring different people, it is important that we value the contribution that they are making. And as Cassie mentioned that she has team of over 50% diverse people, and it's not just about the gender diversity, it's about cultural diversity, age diversity, people from different backgrounds. Now, it brings us to a point wherein how can we show more women and girls that they can explore the opportunities in cybersecurity which are available to them? And I would like to start off with Viraj this time.
Yeah, sure. So definitely, like I said that, I have spent a decade in software development and then I plunged into the cybersecurity space. And since I plunged into this space, I've been like, I started getting in touch with so many communities I came across. Like initially, I started with the women in the cybersecurity, and through that community, I got to know about other 3 communities. So it was like a change, and like trust me, like every other week, I'm coming across to one woman in cybersecurity community who have started this initiative since last couple of the years. There have been a tremendous list of the community have established, and really like they come up with a regular webinars how to empower the women, girls, encourage the girls to join the STEM field, and not just like empowering the woman, but like there are many initiatives that provide the scholarship to attend the colleges, to attend the courses like for the SANS, and like getting the tickets to attend the conferences. I can name few of the communities like Cyber Jutsu, She Security, Women in Cybersecurity, and there is like for professional leaders also. There are the communities like Achieve. So I would say try to register, sign up for those community. At least try to be part of the Slack channel of those community. That's where they will be providing you the resources for upcoming webinar or for any upcoming CFP. If you are interested in like starting your career, starting in a speaking engagement, that's where you'll come across what are the CFP, what are the deadlines are there. And also like you may find the mentor support among those communities, as well as for any freshers looking for a job. There usually in all those Slack channel there will be the separate job post channel. So make sure that regularly you are visiting those channels. That's where you can come across what are the openings are there, what companies looking for what role. And also like, if you are in confusion of what path you can follow in this cybersecurity, try to attend those webinars, try to see what roles responsibility are expected for those job role, and try to build, upskill the knowledge pertaining to that job role. That's how like, you can empower yourself. You can try to find your path within this cybersecurity.
Thanks, Viraj. Over to you, Leticia.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that we really need to see more of, to encourage more women to come and join this cybersecurity world, is greater awareness in schools, right? Where it's critical. STEM programs, things like what we've just been told, Vandana, you're doing right now, InfoSec, initiatives for younger people. So companies need to be supportive of these programs as well. Tap into this talent early, right? The other day when we were doing our prep, I think, Cassie, you said, you don't need experience to start doing cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is about problem solving, right? You build up on that. Technologies change every day, right? What we were doing 10 years ago, we're not doing today. So we are all just continuous learners, right? So when people, all I would encourage people out there is when you see, cybersecurity can be perceived as, an impossible goal, but it is not. We're learning every day. We're learning together, right? We need to see more women leaders and people within the business longer stand up and, mentor. And when we say mentor, one of the things that I've really struggled with in the early years of my career is everybody tells you go get a mentor, but one of the most difficult things is getting a mentor, right? So we've traveled that path. Sometimes maybe it's just us identifying and just going to reaching out to those younger people in the industry as they're coming out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and even all of you, because we all are coming from different backgrounds, different organizations. But there's one thing that has stick with all of us is that we are joined by some people, or there are mentors who have supported us. There are people who have guided us intentionally or unintentionally. There are times when I personally have bumped into so many people who have shaped my career. Like if I have to tell a personal story, I actually started off long back in 2005, and I had no clue that there's something called community that exists. Just working, going to office, coming home, and taking care of things. But at one training in 2012, in the beginning of 2012, I bumped into this person named Akash in one of the trainings, and during those trainings, I realized that OWASP is a huge community. Like I didn't know till then that OWASP is a community. Just knew OWASP Top 10 and Testing Guide. I know it sounds funny, but yeah, that happened to me. And over the years, I started getting involved, and then realized that I can actually can contribute to it. So they asked me to step up as a leader. I was nervous, like hell nervous that you can think of, just being the chapter leader for OWASP Bangalore. But then I think that was one of the best decisions I took. And now I am working as a chair for OWASP. Like that changes the whole paradigm when you get introduced to one person who just unintentionally and intentionally changes the way you see things are. And cybersecurity is one of those careers which actually give you so much. Now, I would actually like to ask Maria that what are some of the different or non-cybersecurity positions or non-tech positions which are there in cybersecurity or product security organizations?
One interesting things today is that every time we talk about skills and we talk about cybersecurity skills, we actually consider the transferable skills. And security today is a big phenomena in terms of how it reaches across every single part of the company. So not everyone is only responsible for the security. I have my own responsibility to the company, to our society, to our business. But we also play a special part. So talking about this way, me as a leader in security, I have my partners, many partners from all across the company. I partner with business, applications, data, compliance, privacy, marketing, sales. We are all involved in the security in one way or another, and everybody can contribute in it. One example that made my heart tremble was about a salesperson, a field representative. He basically stated that while he was talking to a customer, he realized that they evaluate our products based on the way they're secured. And they were asking all those questions. So he came to me and said, hey, help me out to answer those questions, because it seems that for me right now, this is a whole new market differentiation factor and a big plus for us, because I can tell them about you. I can tell them about all the work that we do about our applications in terms of security. So that's a good fact, but thinking about how many people were moving from different area of the business into the security area and developing additional skills, that's a huge benefit that we have today, and hopefully we are using it. Because the security also needs these additional skills.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because without these skills, we cannot thrive. Now, over to you, Cassie. And Cassie, you mentioned that you have a team of over 50% of the diverse people. So I want to understand, like, what are the different things that you're seeing?
Yeah, the backgrounds, I work specifically quite a bit on the governance side, what that means is while people are working to improve the application and product security of the items that we sell, is someone is developing how the process that they should follow in it and any kind of projects. So I have people that may not be security expert and able to do everything that, for example, Letitia can do, but they understand how to take cybersecurity concepts and bring them to the masses, and we call that communications and change management. So when we have thousands of developers, so being able to take that information and put it into trainings for people, to be able to write, let's say, information for our customers in regard to cybersecurity in their normal product. So that's one piece. I have project managers that run specific items to work with the different teams on cybersecurity. We also have what we call vulnerability management, and that means if somebody says there might be a security bug, you know, what can you do? We have people who work with those development teams to help get the questions answered. And then another part of my group does quality management. So not only are you, we're hoping that you're following the process and the rules, but sometimes somebody comes behind to double checks. And so there's so many different roles that you don't have to be a software developer or an IT network specialist. And the field is growing and expanding. And Maria mentioned marketing. There are cybersecurity marketing specialists. So they learn cybersecurity, but they already have a marketing background. So I think in the next 10 years, you're going to have so many of these different specialties, and they're so valuable to have that cross and that balance.
Thank you so much. I think this is very much needed. And I am in awe of all the resources, all the information that you're sharing. And I can see that our attendees are asking some really, really wonderful questions about mentorship, about how we can actually empower the next generation of cybersecurity. Now, I would start off with you, Maria, that how can we empower more and more people to be part of cybersecurity, and especially the leadership teams?
So I think that there are two answers to this. My first answer, my first choice is going to be leading by example. And then the second one will be providing more entry points and stimulus for joining cyber. Now, have you asked yourself, what are why we have so few women in security? And just for this panel, I kind of went to look at some data, more recent data, and then kind of a past data, so I can make a comparison, make a line. And actually, in the past and even today, one of the most often cited issues, there are two actually, the lack of female role models, and the second one is enough encouragement for women and girls to attempt STEM, STEM careers. So I would think that my observation is the same. So I would like to address the second item now, the entry points, which I think we are quite lucky today, and we have a lot of entry points into security. Think about it starting from school, right? We have computer classes, typing classes, AP classes, extracurricular activities that are circled around technology and security specifically. We have specialized technical schools, different opportunities in colleges, even for students that are not technological or security oriented, combined programs. This is something that's very important. What about all of the some of the examples that Viraj actually shared with us? My favorite organization, or maybe the one that I've been involved the most, is Girls Who Code. Right, so wonderful initiatives around this, all of those libraries and other events that are put together. A lot of companies today are partnering with schools and colleges with specific or technical education, a lot of internships, a lot of communities like the Purple Book community. So I think we are kind of lucky. We have a lot of more entry points today, variety that can be used.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. Now we talk about Viraj. Now, Viraj, we would like to hear from you as well.
Yeah, sure. So I totally agree with the Maria is like, to lead by example. So together we have to like mentor, support and equip the female to live the life they dream of. So like recently, so many female has rise as a leader in the high qualified job in the cybersecurity. They need to start thinking of giving back to the community. Like the young generation is always gonna follow their role model, right? So now it's giving back to the community of mentoring them, sharing the struggles, the knowledge, what they had in their journey, and making sure that we are paving the path for the young generation so that they can excel in the leadership role in the future. And definitely, like there is a positive snowball effect with so many initiatives going on for empowering the women. So many women are like starting and thinking to pivot into this cybersecurity. So I truly believe that we as a female, we are like booming in this, and yeah, we are not slowing down in this space to join this cybersecurity force.
Very interesting. And now, while we are trying to pivot, while we are trying to lead by example, there's another thing that comes to my mind is mentorship. And I can see that there are people who want to ask more about it. So how can actually people promote other genders, other people? And have you found mentorship in other people? Could be men, women, or anyone, especially while you talk about lead by example. Now, this question is for Cassie.
Okay, well, I think that first off, it's more about wanting to find a mentor who holds the same ideals that you're looking for. And that can be hard, but if you see someone that presents themselves and has the same, let's say, perspective, and you want to model that, that's the best time to look for a mentor. And that could be no matter what the gender. If you are, for example, interested in what's called servant leadership, like how do I serve my staff? How do I serve my customers? There are people that focus on it. I personally found mentorship in each really company that I worked with. I would see a leader. I didn't go ask, will you be my mentor? But I've followed them. What Viraj was saying is really leading by example. I took mental notes and I took real notes on what qualities made other people attracted to that leader from they said good things about that leader. I would ask, how did you get into this piece? So I would ask questions and then research it behind to say, how did they move into that? So I don't think you have to establish that formal mentorship to gain so much about following in the footsteps of other people. I do think that even staying away from the word mentor, but I have people reach out to me, and I've had conversations just a couple of weeks ago with someone. He's located in the UK and wanted to find out more about some questions about the roles and experience, and I guided him because he was looking to move more into a leadership role. And so it wasn't a commitment to a mentorship, but he had some specific questions and we had some discussion, and we'll meet again. So I think it's important for you to always look for that, and it's going to change over time. It's going to be very different at the start of your career and as you grow. And by asking those questions, following and meeting people, you mentioned, Vandana, about meeting people at different events. I know some of us, not me, but some of us are shy. Just sit down with somebody, cup of water, have a tea, and just ask them what they do, and try to find something in common. And I guarantee you'll learn something from them.
Right, I agree. And to all of you, let me tell you one interesting fact. While learning from all of you, I recall being in college days, I used to be a total introvert. If someone sees me from my college days, they'll say I am totally a different personality now, like a totally flip side of who I used to be. And now, over the years, by meeting by people like you all, have made me who I am today, because I learned from all of you. And we tend to shy away from not speaking about, oh, how can I do it? Or asking for help. So it is a very, very important point that always ask for help. There is nothing wrong in asking for help. It will not make you any less of it will not make you weak, but it will make you a stronger person. And it will also give you a different perspective. Now, while we talk about that, I wanted to know from Leticia, because she was sharing that she was from a design background. Now, on the similar lines, we are all IT professionals, and especially in this challenging world, we see so many developers who are talking about today's code, and we tell the developers, you need to have a secure code. So how can we prevent the design bias that is so evident in products and services? And what is going not so right in the design process? What can be improved?
Right. So you're right. We are all here. We all, one way or the other, interact with code, right? And as a result of that, we also interact with the products that are as a result of that code, right? Design bias, right? What is it? Design bias is when you have an absent presence, where a certain demographic is not represented. And that happens when you don't have a diverse team, because people tend to design, based on what they know, right? If you take it, for example, let's take, we've seen it in the news, right? When you have like AI, Maria, you work in this is your world, right? Where you have, AI models that are trained by just a specific demographic. And in essence, the final product will also be leaning towards that demographic, right? And, it's not a conspiracy. It's just part of, as we test for quality control and we test for bugs and we test for other things, we need to be cognizant of that, right? When they'll be, when only one demographic designs for a product, then you find, like, for example, if it's just men designing a product, then for sure the female needs will not be met, because men don't think like women and women don't think like men, right? So for sure, that's something that right now is something that we need to be cognizant of as just something that is part of our service.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Leticia. And it is important to understand the smaller things which actually contribute to bigger area of what we call it as tech. Now, this brings us to a question wherein these biases can be avoided.
Yeah.
Now we need to train ourselves while we are training our systems, because it is very, very important to change the thought process. Other than being advocates, mentoring and providing networking opportunities, which we are talking about, how best can men support women in security and IT? What role have men played in your careers? All of you, because this question is for all of you. So how men can support women growth at work, or even diversity. Many times men want to help, but they're not sure what are the helpful behaviors. So what are the things organizations can do to have more diversity and people can support? Because this question is not just by one person in the audience, but everyone wants to know what is like to help women, how they can help. So I'll start off with Cassie this time.
Okay. I think that there's a couple things. The first one is, I would say, don't focus only on, let's say, the technical credentials in somebody's resume. Really, when you're interviewing or looking for candidates, speak more about what are the responsibilities that you expect and the achievements that you're looking for. We can tend to be much more goal-oriented in that respect of, I want to create something, I want to problem solve. That we talked about some of those different pieces, rather than just saying, I need someone with CISSP, da 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 da. I mean, because that is, while it can definitely be important, it's not the ultimate indicator as to how many letters somebody has in their name. And so by looking at a candidate pool where, let's say, some systems may toss out people, is really ask your HR and recruiting team and others to search for people with those roles. And it's been shown that women are less likely to apply if they don't fill everything in the box of what's needed. So if you specifically ask your recruiters, I would like you to contact some individuals rather than waiting for all the applications to come in. I'd like you to verify any resumes that have come in that might be auto-rejected from the pile to see if there are good candidates that I'd like to. And when the second point is, when you're interviewing, ask scenario-based questions. Something that, what would you do in this situation? Not, how would you fix this only? It's not just, again, a technical discussion. It's the thought process is just as important, because, as was mentioned earlier, technologies change, and you want to know that this person can adapt and work in an environment. And that takes someone who can really think ahead of where they're going to go. So I think there's some opportunities there that anybody, male or female leadership, can do to improve the hiring practices.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
The other thing is very interesting. We kind of sometimes forget this diversity applies to any job description, for example, and we put a lot of technical skills, not just specific, but just technical. And we forget that the job description actually describes part of our lives. I mean, 8 hours at the minimum, if not more, every day. So I had a case when they were saying, well, it seems more people were applying for your job and my job are the same. How come? Why do you have more applications than me? Because the job description was written in a different way, more human way. And I think this also is very important to what Cassie was saying.
I agree with Maria. I agree with Cassie. It's the human way, right? Let's strive to create an inclusive and healthy workplace, right? If you're asking yourself, how can we improve this situation? We all have those unconscious biases, right? We need men and, to be those allies. But most of the time, I think to also be an ally, you have to challenge yourself, right? Why are you, to my colleagues just said, to your point, why am I not getting diverse candidates, right? One of the things that is the theme of Women's International 2022 International Women's Day is break the bias. We have them inherently. It's not something you go out there and you're doing wrong. So challenge yourself, question yourself. Those scenario questions we're talking about, what are yours like, right? We always tend to lean to people who feel familiar to us, right? So I think very important to become an ally and then dig deep and challenge your biases. Identify them, call them out and address them. I think that's the way forward.
Yeah, I totally agree with Letitia, Maria, and Cassie, what they mentioned. And also to add on that, like for an ally, right? For a man to be an ally and also a sponsor, like he has to be sponsor promoting more about more females publicly, even in their absence. Right, like I've been fortunate that I have found a man as an ally or sponsor in throughout my career journey. That's how, like, they help me shaping my skill set, shaping my career. And also, like, for a man, like, they can start initiating participating in all this women initiative. Also, like, if you are a hiring manager, make sure there is no salary disparity. That is also a big thing, especially for a woman in the workforce. So these are a few of the areas where, like, unconsciously or consciously, if there is any bias, they can break those bias.
Mhm.
Yeah, breaking the bias. This is the theme for this year, International Women's Day. Very well said. Now, there is one very interesting question which has come, and I want to ask Maria that when talking to a recruiter, what are specific policies, resources that signal that the organization has an inclusive and a supportive culture?
I don't know, it's the recruiter, but it also is the hiring manager. It's also the team. A lot of candidates today, they say, well, I would like to talk to my future team. If you decide to hire me, I would like to talk to my team. And a lot of the questions when they talk to the team is actually around the culture and a lot about bias, a lot about diversity. Do you have other girls on your team? Well, I'm a Black girl. What about other people like me? Do you have people like me on your team? And so a couple of people from my team were originally surprised they received such questions, right? Well, is this a normal question? She didn't ask me anything about the job. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's probably more important than what you have into the job, because the job is, with a good job description, pretty much in all the conversations that you have. So I have, my impression is that people are asking, this is important to people and specifically to women.
Right. Now, while we are trying to we are coming to the end, there is one thing that I have, which personally I want to know, and it is for all of you, like in just a line or two. What are some simple and everyday actions that everyone can take to rise up and become an ally for women? So I'll start with Cassie, Letitia, Viraj, and Maria.
Okay. Well, I think I just break the bias it's such an excellent theme. I would have normally said equality. I just think that no matter who's presenting, you can have, again, coming from a technical environment, there are people who are mostly introverts and shy, and giving those opportunities and talking with them individually. That's one thing, as I've led a lot of teams of a lot of technical people, and most of them don't want to be presenters. They don't want to be leaders. They're very comfortable. And having those one-on-one conversations with them to say, what is your interest? What are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with? Would you like those opportunities? And that doesn't mean that I was even their manager. As a project manager, I would always ask around the room, do you have an opinion? Because somebody may not be willing to speak up on their own. So my call to action, I guess, for others is to really, no matter who it is at all, is look around and say, did I hear that person's opinion? They may have the best idea that you've heard for 2 weeks, but unless they're asked, that may not happen. You may not hear that. And that's the same with opportunities. So if you have somebody on your team, you may not know their true capabilities until you ask them what they're interested in. What can we do to increase your visibility? What can we do to, is there something that you want to focus on to upskill yourself? You have to ask the question, don't make assumptions. So whether it be, no matter where they're coming from, that's a really important thing. And I think that helps a lot in regards to also having a good culture in your team, so that you're promoting and talking to everybody. Because unfortunately, sometimes promotions and other areas come from those who speak the most, and they're not always the most effective. They're not always the best leaders.
Yeah. Cassie, you've hit the nail on the head, right? Let's pay it forward by, allyship. Let's pay it forward. Let's be mindful, right? In our communities, in our work areas, right? In those meetings, right? When you have, to your point, we work in groups where we have introverts and we have extroverts, right? Know your colleague, right? And if you see, pull people up. Let's not be shy about pulling people up, because that developer or that product manager who doesn't talk could be the person who, we could pull that, we could be their voice, be others' voices, and let's champion each other.
And I personally think the allyship should begin at the home. We should discuss and balance our workload at the home, not just about the work, right? And also, for a good ally, one should listen to a woman, demonstrate the empathy that they are listening. And we are looking for an ally who fight in our struggle and also dance in our success.
So my choice will be, if I have to ask, is please be determined to lead diverse team. Give this determination, decide to be this type of person. And of course, first of all, learn about the importance, the benefits of diverse teams for our organizations. But on the second point, show some interest from a really human perspective. Diversity is not just a requirement for modern organizations, right? It's part of our human nature. Is this indispensable human connection that we bring from home? We bring it to the technology and to sometimes cruel world of the security, right? So then once you understand that, be this diverse supporter for your organization.
Yeah, I agree. And there's one point that stuck with me is that it is not, diversity is not just something which is we need to speak about, but we need to follow. Now, around the same lines, there's a very interesting question that has come up, and that has happened to me a lot of times, that where people start speaking over you. So how do you deal with that? What are some tips and tricks that you can share to empower ourselves to be more outspoken?
I think that's one of the what just right there is a perfect scenario for where allies come in, right? Out there it has sometimes been called mansplaining, right? Where you'll say something and people don't hear it. It's the biases. Train yourself to listen, to watch out for those. Vandana just said something and it didn't click. But then when Martin champions it, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Learn how to see those and create those opportunities to speak up for those who, are being passed over. For sure.
Yeah. Maria wants to say something.
Well, for me, it depends, right? In certain situations, I'll just let it go, right? In certain situations, depending on the person, the personality, I may address it privately, right? In other cases, I will set the expectations immediately, right? Rather than just keep going, maybe just stop and address the situation, ask a clarifying question. So it just all depends on the situation. But one thing I can tell you for sure is I will never just leave it unnoticed. even if I kind of let it go and keep talking and, keep going, I'm still going to make a mental note and say, hey, why is this happening? Maybe I was rambling. Maybe I was not clear. Maybe it's me, but it may not be. And then I would like to address it.
Right, absolutely. And let me wrap up this session with the points that we all discussed. The first and the foremost thing for every one of us, not just men, women, not just anyone, but everyone, always speak for yourself. It is very, very important. Lead by example. Be the role model that you seek in others. Mentoring is a gift given to you to thrive. Always ask for help. Never shy away in asking for help in anything. Certifications do not define you. It's the skills that define you. Diversity describes our lives. It makes us a different person every day, every minute. And while we were talking about all of this, diversity is not just part of modern organization, but it gives us the pathways to connect with more people. There's one thing I do want to say in the end, which actually my son recently came and told me because he got this poem from the school. I'm not sure who wrote it. So thanks to the person who wrote it. But as a daughter, you're bubbly and cute. As a wife, you're strong and loving. As a mother, you always care. As a grandmom, you're always there. As a woman, you make life worth living. So there's just a single word for you, that you're the best in everything you do. And on this special day, I want to salute you and say that Happy Women's Day to all of you. You're special and know that it is true. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for listening to us and asking the wonderful questions.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.